time. It's time for the championship series as Oklahoma goes for the four-peat and Texas seeks its very first title. And whether you love a dynasty or root for its demise, we've got you covered. As we check out our starting lineups, brought to you by Capital One. She is followed by her teammate and classmate Tiare Jennings in their 248th game together. And Jennings will go down as one of the greatest sluggers in the history of the sport. Third all-time in home runs, fifth all-time in runs batted in. And they will face the freshman who gets the call for Texas, Tegan Kavan. Out of West Des Moines, Iowa, the Big 12 Freshman of the Year who comes in 3-0 in the NCAA tournament and 2-0 with a couple of complete game shutouts here in Oklahoma City this week. 2-0. Tegan's wins were head-to-head against Stanford and the National Player of the Year, Nigeri Kennedy. Both her victories here as Coleman takes the strike. Against Coleman, the three-time first-team All-American, who was telling us today just thrilled to be back here in the championship finals, gets hit by the pitch. They've got a base runner.
This gets her back arm. She's coming around to swing. She holds the barrel back. Yeah, gets that back forearm.
So that'll bring up Jennings. Her World Series history as a four-time All-American, 10 home runs and a record 32 runs batted in in her 4 trips to OKC. And look at that, through her 23 games. A 367 average with the 32 RBI. And another pitch down and in, 2-0.
This is exactly what Oklahoma does. 332 walks on the season. They have a very good eye.
That's the 15th time here at the World Series they've been able to lead off an inning with a base runner. Both these teams average about 8 runs per game. They have the top 2 batting averages in Power 5 this year. There weren't a lot of runs scored in their head-to-head matchups, which they split 2 apiece. We'll see if that changes here in Oklahoma City. For the first time, we have a hot and humid, sunny night. Temperatures up around 85 degrees this evening. And that misses away full count.
Be so careful with Tiare Jennings, and that's what Tegan Kavan is very aware of, and the importance of Jada Coleman being on base, because you do not want to walk her. She has the ability to hit anything out of the park.
Jennings, just like that, launches one. And what a start for Oklahoma. Jennings, a 2-run home run to grab the lead. The first run scored against Texas here in the World Series.
The biggest thing is Kavan did not want to walk her, so she comes back over the middle of the plate. And Tiare Jennings, you look at where her hands are, but then the top hand to meet the rise ball. Such a beautiful swing, especially where her hands are, where they end up. 73 miles an hour off the bat. How about Tiare? 98th home run of her career.
The key for Kavan is that she has to pitch from ahead when she gets those full counts. If she gets behind, that's typically when the batting average against goes up, the slug goes up.
Third home run for Jennings in her 5 games here, and let's see how the freshman responds facing another freshman, Ella Parker. 3 consecutive one-hit shutouts for Texas to get into the finals, and now a home run, and the first run's up on the board against them here.
Yeah, they gave up just 3 singles. First extra base hit, first runs given up.
First to a right-hander.
Yep.
Not a first for Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, he faced a...
That's how stingy Texas was.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Parker fights off that rise ball.
You got to figure out the strike zone, too. You saw her work from behind to Coleman, work from behind to Jennings.
Well, the scouting report for Cavan is about 80% rise balls, the occasional change.
Ball's out.
And already, Mac Morgan is up in the Texas bullpen after 2 batters faced. Parker sends one into the seats. Ella out of Los Angeles. She and her running mate, Cassidy Pickering, the 2 freshmen with the top 2 batting averages for Oklahoma in the postseason. That's a well-struck ball. Off the wall, over the head of Ashton Maloney. And sliding in safely is Ella Parker. Fearless at the scene of her collision there with Skylar Wallace in the semifinals.
Well, just ability to hit the changeup. She's going to get a pitch that just is a little bit too sweet. It's a great mix of speed, but it's right down the middle, and Parker's going to smash that ball. 74 miles an hour off of the bat, hits it off the wall. Good job by Maloney out and right to try to get her at second, but so far the Sooners, they're not fooled by Cavan. They are barreling her up.
In softball, exit velo of 70 miles per hour is good. So 74, 75, really good. And the delivery of the home run ball to the family. They're going to need a bigger trophy case at the Jennings household, because that's number 98 in her career.
Yeah. You get a ball and you get a ball and start handing them out to neighbors.
They have sent a charge through the crowd here at Devon Park. Here's Alyssa Brito. Another first-team All-American in the lineup. She's their top slugger at 807.
Ball's in.
Has a chance for an RBI here with Parker on second, and Alyssa has the best RISP on the team at 431. Now at her 3rd year at Oklahoma after transferring in from Oregon as a freshman. Alyssa talked to us earlier today about how, now that they've reached the championship series, settle in, trust their approach, trust their training. It's a team with a lot of experience on this stage. Infield pop-up. Alyssa Washington has it one down. How about the Jennings home run swing?
And it's such a unique swing, her staying on top of this rise ball. And she's done this so many times throughout her career. What she's gone through this season, the ups and the downs. making a statement. Both teams emphasize how important it was to score early. You see Shea Knighton looking on.
The star of their two-time back-to-back championship teams in 2016 and 2017. A home run in the 17-inning game, one of the biggest moments in the 42-year history of this tournament. Hansen got around on that inside pitch. Kinsey, the senior out of Norco, California, said she was feeling a little sentimental today after the big win yesterday and trying to settle in for a shot at a 4th consecutive national championship.
There's 5 of them that are feeling this. 5 seniors that came in as freshmen.
I appreciate how open they were about it too. And you know, we've obviously sat down with them many a time here on this stage, and you know, a lot of cliches, a lot of we're treating it like any other game, but they said no, these aren't like any other game.
Well, there was a sense of relief of just making it to the Champ Series, but they're hunting that 4th crown.
They're trying to claim underdog status, but I don't think anybody's buying it.
No.
Even Patty Gasso chuckled at the notion because the expectations are so high, but it is Texas that is the #1 seed for the first time in school history. There's Patty, now in her 30th season. Trying for an 8th championship overall, which would tie her for the most of any coach in history. And another one sky to the infield. Vivi Martinez, 2 down. It's a scout for the youngster, Smitty.
Well, she's going to need to throw that rise ball at the top of the zone. She's typically in the mid-60s, but it's that changeup that is knee buckling. She throws both of them from the same release. You see where she throws that rise ball, is that really good 4-seam rotation. Changeup looks very similar, and that's the key for that changeup. She's got to be able to sell it. She's got to be able to hide it and use that effectively. Both of those, the best when she's working ahead. Her numbers, batting average against, is far better when she's working from in front of the hitters.
Yeah, for Texas pitching, 3 hits in 3 games, and now already a couple of hits and runs scored the first 3 batters today. Ball. Here is Pickering out of Humber, Texas. 3 for 10 so far at this World Series.
There's that changeup on the outer half. This is where she's her strongest, when she gets to 2 strike. Batting average against is less than 100, .089.
That one hops away from Atwood, and Parker will take 3rd. So another run 60 feet away here for Pickering. Scored that a wild pitch. Chopped to second. Washington waits on it. Side retired. 1 run stranded, but 2 more in. On the trot around the bases for Tiare.
Yeah, she's going to be one of the greatest that will go down in Sooners history, and she continues that success. Boom! 2-run shot here in the 1st inning to put the Sooners up first in the top of the first 2-zip.
And a little chip on their shoulder for Texas. She was the only All-American from the #1 team in the country. And they will face Kelly Maxwell, her first appearance in the championship finals on her 4th trip to the World Series, first with Oklahoma State and now with Oklahoma.
Maxwell with 148 pitches thrown yesterday in the semifinals against Florida.
Bella Dayton, first pitch swinging, and a plan that their head coach, Mike White, called patient aggression. For the Texas Swingers, they come in with the best batting average in the country, the 3rd best OPS in the country. And I love his mentality. And we've talked about it before. You got 3 pitches. Yours, the pitchers, the umpires. Make sure you're swinging at yours.
Till you get 0-2.
And then protect.
And then protect.
Dayton, the senior out of Wiley, Texas. Batters leading off the inning for Texas. Second best on base percentage in the country. Number 1 is in the white jerseys today. So there is a chance we could see a bit of a shootout.
Well, then you go, Texas has the best batting average in the country. Oklahoma is too. Like, it's just, I mean, like all the offensive numbers. I get so giddy because both these teams have been the best.
Her head was exploding reading the stat sheets.
So much fun, these 2 teams.
Swing and a miss by Dayton and a strikeout for Kelly Maxwell. 1 down.
Well, and the thing that Kelly Maxwell does so well, she gets hitters to chase out of the zone, and she varies her speeds, those velocities. It's going to be a curveball in the outer half in the mid-60s. She can also drop that down with the off-speed curveball on the outer half. Very effective. She's got the changeup as well that's going to dump down into the 50s, but also she'll go upstairs with that rise ball in the high 60s. So you're looking at 3 to 4 different velocities, and she peppers the zone. It's very hard to split the plate against Kelly Maxwell. RPMs on those pitches over 1,300, so really good late sharp movement.
Facing Mia Scott, the junior. Couple of things of note here. This is the first time all season that Maxwell is starting on back-to-back days. She also has some issues with perspiration on a humid night like this on her pitching hand. Mia Scott at the plate has a home run here at the World Series. Looking for another. Back that goes. Mia Scott right back at the Sooners. And cuts the deficit in half with a Longhorn home run. Buckle up. In game 1 of the championship series.
Well, talking to Texas, one of the things they kept saying is we go as Mia Scott goes. She's been our leader offensively because she can do so many different things, and this is the power. The off-speed curveball, Smitty, that you talked about stays middle, and so does Mia Scott. Watch her just stay perfectly through the zone. Matching. Oklahoma gets a home run in the top. Scott, home run here in the bottom.
2-1, and it's Vivi Martinez. So Oklahoma here at the World Series has now hit 9 home runs, Michelle, but they have also given up 9 home runs.
Well, and that's the 16th home run of the year that Maxwell's given up, the 5th here at the World Series.
And look at that. Texas doesn't lose when Mia goes the distance. Martinez, Jada Coleman at the center. 2 down. Let's send it down to Holly Rowe.
Well, Mike White has leaned heavily on a team performance coach, mental performance coach this year, Dean Willems, and he had them do an exercise today, get into a big circle, and everybody had to go around and say, you are at your best when you do this. So, like, Beth, you are at your best when you are a wordsmith or whatever it is. Mia Scott, they went around and everybody said, you are at your best when you're mad. You're at your best when you're angry, and that was an angry at-bat and home run off Mia Scott. She got that feedback from her team, and they built into her that confidence today.
Well, and what made her mad, Holly, was the first called strike. She did not like it. She got out of the batter's box, and you could see that anger. She showed it in that swing.
Well, we talked to Texas earlier today, and they did talk about that series win over the Sooners in April and how big of a boost that was. The first time for a Texas team in 15 years. It has not been much of a rivalry before Mike White reignited it here in the last few seasons. And they matched OU this year, winning 2 of the 4 in the regular season in the Big 12 tournament. And the rivalry will continue into the SEC. In about a month or so, July 1st, they will win another Big 12 championship, one of these guys, and then both are off to the Southeastern Conference. And just a superpower softball league.
And for all the bats, too, we talk about that Oklahoma has in the senior class. It's actually Reese Atwood is the Big 12 Player of the Year, and she was the best hitter coming out of that Big 12 conference. 23 home runs, hitting .429.
2-2 pitch to Atwood, who has doubled her home run and RBI totals in her sophomore season.
And that's the key right there. Those pitches low in the zone, the off speed and the changeup, they have to be able to lay off those, identify them when they're out of the zone.
Full count. Missed away, and the tying run aboard here for Texas. Both these coaches today talked to us about the significance of winning game one.
Number 20, Katie Stewart.
We've only played a game 3, if necessary, 6 times in 18 years. And so the game 1 winner, a huge advantage, going on to win the title 78% of the time as Katie Stewart steps in. Stewart to short. Jennings gobbles that up, side retired, but a home run ball being delivered. Texas gets one back.
Mia Scott going yard on a 1-1 pitch for her 12th home run of the year. Mia Scott with that mad swing gets the horns on the board.
And it's just fabulous when we have meetings with these guys and they show up and say, wow, it's been great watching you over the years. Gonna pop up here in foul territory. And then the old timers, when they come back, say, hey, our team still gets together and we watch the old replays when we won it all. And we do feel like we're a part of their softball families.
Yeah.
I just love it when they're like, can you talk again? Because your voice is a part of their childhood and so many memories, and so they just enjoy listening to you.
Well, in the knowledge, you've been there, you remember it. To me, that's what's amazing, is that when you're in the booth, you bring back yesterday like it's today. And yeah, that's what's incredible. That's the history that...
She has a World Series Bible, folks, those 30 years.
I have a folder.
It is a physical folder, but she also has that Bible ingrained in her head.
I think so. But what is it, 17 years, I think, with you guys here in the booth with me and the Hall of Fame reporter Holly Rowe. Down on the dirt, the greatest show on dirt here at Devon Park. Tiare Jennings, a 2-run home run in the top of the first. Mia Scott, the solo shot in the bottom. Fireworks early in game 1, best 2 out of 3. Texas looking for its very first championship. OU a 4-peat. Fly ball out to Bella Dayton, 2 down. And that'll bring up Avery Hodge. So Holly Rowe was investigating pregame. She did find out for us that Hodge starting at second base, but their other second baseman, Alina Torres, would be available today. Alina was injured in their World Series opener against Duke. And Hodge stepped in, had 2 clutch hits yesterday in the semifinals against Florida. Next woman up. But something to keep in mind, we could see Torres swinging a bat later on, who has a batting average better than 300.
Yeah, more power.
As another senior. And honestly, the plethora of riches that Patty Gasso has available to her.
That'll get out of play.
Avery Hodge hunts rise balls. That's been the pitch that we've seen her drive, especially here at the World Series. 375 versus that pitch, the double. Highest batting average of any pitch.
Well, she hits away, she can slap, she's got speed. Multi-tool athlete. And so she's hard to defend.
I think that's part of why what went into Patty Gasso's mind is not only swinging a hot bat, but she matches up well against Cavan. If Mac Morgan were to come in this game, Alina Torres is better with the drop ball.
Gasso, who's been in Norman since 1995.
Ball.
And this crazy run continues. This is their 9th championship series in 12 years. And the decade of Oklahoma softball with 6 national championships since 2013. Hodge fights off another.
One thing to keep an eye on, the outfield, Ashley Maloney out and right, the last of the sun, and she can't really see. She's been putting her glove up to shield the sun just so she can see the batter.
Should be setting behind the left field third baseline stands here shortly. Full count to Hodge, inside pitch, hit her bat.
That was a little bit of self-defense on that. Off the barrel. See, she's starting to dive into that. Tries to pull the hands back, but just can't get the barrel out of the way.
Ball four.
And draws the walk. So after Cavan had retired 5 in a row, the walk earned by Hodge in the 9 spot, and she passes the bat to the top.
On the lower half of the lineup was so good against Florida yesterday. Really helped change the complexity of the game.
Number 24, Jada Coleman.
Coleman hit by a pitch in the first, and then scored on the Jennings home run.
Going to the short game, we talk about diversity as a player. I mean, yesterday she walks it off with a home run, so much power, which is why I would not want to be Mia Scott. I would not want to be this infield. There she was showing the slap. She can also drag bunt very well.
A wild pitch from Cavan, and Hodge will take second. Here's what happened in a tie game in the bottom of the 8th.
She talked about feel. Look where this pitch is. Up and away. I mean, this is not normally your home run. Go with it. Hit it over the fence. She barely clears it, but that was the game winner in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Ball 10.
After Texas had beaten them in the first game of the semis, Oklahoma had to come back to win the second. These seniors 8-0 in elimination games. And now pitching coach is out to chat. Let's send it down to Holly.
Texas coach Mike White told us that one of the things Tegan Cavan has gotten better at is nerves. She has battled some nervousness throughout her career here at Texas as a freshman. And she told us that she is really working on her breathing. She went back and watched the film of her great performance against Stanford. And she said, the thing I noticed is I was taking my time. I was taking deep breaths, getting that heart rate to calm down. And so just getting her back into that space is very important right now as she battles some nerves as a freshman in this big moment.
Patty Ruth Taylor out there to talk with her. Kristen Zaleski, Steve Singleton, the other assistant coaches for Mike White. Beautiful shot beyond the right field bleachers, back into Devon Park. And back to Cavan, a 2-1 pitch to Jada Coleman.
Ball 10.
3-1.
We got Tiare Jennings, the home run hitter, on deck, so you want to pitch to Coleman.
Ball.
Second freebie for Coleman today.
Well, Tiara Jennings, we saw what she did in just the first inning. Watch her hands drop. They're as low as they've ever been in her career, but then watch that top hand to get to the rise ball. So you guys, her hands are at her hip. That is so unusual, that swing path again, the drop ball, the rise ball, because of what her top hand split grip can do.
They work with Patty's son, JT, their hitting coach, Jen Rocha, and Fale Steele, the other staff members. Patty's other son, DJ, also an assistant coach. He was at Arkansas this past season. Infield pop-up. Mia Scott under it, and she's got it. Side is retired.
Well, our team captain, Beth Mowens, 30 years. You have been the voice of softball, but it's the pride of performance, the care that you have. Softball is better because we've had you.
Texas prevented OU from adding on to it, and now the Longhorns back to work. Washington, Mitchell, and Henry at 6, 7, and 8. And it's the senior from Abilene, Texas. Yeah, notable for that C on her chest right there. That has never been there before. She is the very first captain ever at Texas, the very first captain that Coach Mike White has ever had in his years at Texas and Oregon. And that's the kind of leadership that Mike White was looking for, because after they were in the championship a couple of years, oh boy, all of a sudden the recruits started showing up saying, hey, we'd like to play on the 40 acres. And they have a underclass heavy group that are providing big contributions, that he felt he needed sort of somebody in charge, and it was Alyssa. And a line out there to center, and Jada Coleman one down.
And everybody on the team talked to her about her calming ability. You know, you hear the same thing about the seniors for Oklahoma as well. You know, that experience, that having been there, done that before.
Well, and here is one of those newcomers that Washington wanted to help blend in. Not just the youngsters, but the transfer Jolie Mitchell, who spent 3 years at Notre Dame, was an all-ACC performer with the Irish. Batting .381 in the postseason for the Horns. Kelly Maxwell gets her with the rise. 1-1.
Well, and Beth, to your point, I mean, that's the new norm. It's not just the freshmen coming in, it's the transfers, right? The ability for teams' chemistry to be able to build very quickly.
Catches the outside corner.
Jolie Mitchell had the big hit off Nyjah Kennedy in the inning. They ended up scoring their winning run. Helped get runners at first and third.
Oh, they really like her grit, her resilience at the plate. Watches that go by, 2-2.
Pitch that's going to be so important for Kelly Maxwell, that off-speed curveball after that rise ball. Varying those speeds, being able to hit the zone with those pitches and work from ahead.
Longtime pitching coach Jen Rocha, who pitched for the Sooners herself back in the day.
And one of the things, Smitty, to your point, that Texas and Oklahoma are really good at is their hitting coaches. We talked about JT Gasso, but Steve Singleton for Texas, not just picking pitches, but picking the predictability of when a pitch is going to be thrown. He'll be able to call and understand, because pitchers, you know when they're going to throw certain pitches, and they do a great job, not just with mechanics, but understanding their hitters to hunt for a pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Sequencing and
Full count. Mitchell, fly ball to center. Coleman. 2 down. Well, one thing's for sure, they're not going to be afraid of the name on the front of the jersey that they're playing against. This is an experienced group. They played a really tough schedule this year, did Texas. They survived a brutal super regional with Texas A&M and fought their way through that. Eager for that first national championship. First pitch swinging, Caden Henry, and Brito wisely lets that one go foul.
Well, and they've got a first base coach, Kristen Zaleski, who was on OU staff 2 years ago when they beat Texas. And she is someone that works with the hitters. Jokes I got all the dirt on OU a couple years ago. Former player as well.
If you're new to the game, welcome. And also understand that analytics now, just like in baseball, a huge part of the game. There's video on everybody. There's no secrets anymore. And it's been really great for college softball and college baseball to have that additional third assistant coach, which was added this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Just ability to decipher information, give it to the athletes.
0-2 to Henry, misses it. Strikeout number 2 for Kelly Maxwell as she gets the 1-2-3 inning. She had a double on the changeup her first time up, and now she will lead things off here in the top of the third. Number 1 versus number 2. For just the second time in the last 2 decades to decide the national championship. 7-time champion Sooners and searching for that first time for Texas.
Back in that first inning, Kavan missing on a couple of those pitches. That changeup's supposed to be low and out. It bleeds back over the plate. You know, this is where it's a big part of her game.
Oh, and that gets under the glove of Vivi Martinez. And one thing that Texas was really focused on was playing solid defense and not giving them any extra outs.
Yeah, and this ball hit very hard. Look at the location of it again. It is over the plate, it is elevated, and that's just right where she's able to get that, hit that hard.
Holly?
Well, her uncle is Dave Roberts, the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and her mom said, you know, Uncle Dave was late to his pregame with the Dodgers the other night because he was busy watching my game, so I hope he's somewhere watching right now. She has performed great and said, he has helped me so much with my mental game, my professional approach, just what he's taught me to be as a person and as an athlete. A huge help to have a manager like that in the family.
Well, they're losing to the Pirates in the bottom of the 7th, but I have a feeling that he's speaking in the clubhouse right now, Holly. And one of the cool things, too, is having, first of all, Dave and the role that he's had, you know, in Ella's life, but also all the Dodgers. I mean, she's been able to be around the clubhouse, around the team. She talked about this summer, possibly having an internship.
And if you want to distract her, get her talking about the old Dodger number 5, Corey Seager. As Alyssa Brito steps in.
That's actually how she picked her number, she told us.
Brito. Out to Caden Henry. 1 down. Well, here's our next WNBA game for you. The undefeated Sun hosting the New York Liberty. That's Saturday at 1 Eastern on ABC. Coverage tips at 12:30 with the Countdown crew. We got our Holly Rowe and Pam Ward here on site. Some of our WNBA experts. I feel like they've been talking about a lot of on our talk shows around the ESPN networks about the W lately. Ball. It's going to be an incredible summer for the league and for the United States at the Olympics in Paris. Here's Kinsey Hansen. Popped to short in the first inning. Second team All-American this year. This is her 24th World Series game. I mean, it's crazy to think about this senior class. They've almost played an entire 5th season just in the postseason.
Fourth in.
UCLA had the dynasty in the 80s, including a three-peat. It was Arizona in the 90s. The Cats won 4 of 5. And then parity started to settle in until the last decade when Oklahoma has risen. Hansen blasts one, deep left field. That'll find the bleachers. 2-run home run, Kinsey Hansen. Second of the day for Oklahoma. And that one of the fastest to get out at 76 miles an hour.
You want to see someone sell out for a pitch and understand exactly how she's going to be approached. It's been the entire series. She looks in, gets in. Beautiful job getting her hands. You guys, all series long, she's been jammed on this pitch, but she keeps that front side open and just absolutely hammers for another 2-run shot. First home run off of a rise ball all season.
Sooners going to work, dancing with the one that brung them. 7 different Sooners have hit double-digit home runs this year. They've now hit 120 on the season. And that her 7th career World Series home run to pass Lauren Chamberlain. Jennings has 10. Jocelyn Allo the record with 12 during her tenure here. Cassidy Pickering puts a charge into it, and that leaves the yard. Back-to-back jacks for the Sooners.
And the freshman says, hey, I can follow you too, senior. I'm going to take this 1-1 pitch, and I'm going to drive it out of the yard at 73 miles an hour. This is a team over the last 4 years that has hit over 540 home runs. They do the majority of their scoring with the long ball. They hit home runs in almost 89% of their games. Third home run of the day for the Sooners. This one by the freshman going up, getting underneath that rise ball and just going from high to higher. Elevate to celebrate, and that's what the Sooners are doing.
Do you see the pitch location? I mean, that is a ball up out of the zone.
Third home run in the first 3 innings. And that equals a pitching change coming for the Texas Longhorns. 5-1 OU. Crowd on hand here at Devon Park. Game 1, best 2 out of 3, and a pitching change as Tegan Cavan departs 2 1/3, and the 3 home runs for Oklahoma and a 5-1 lead. So Mac Morgan comes on. Her second appearance here in the World Series. She picked up a win against Florida in their first game here on Thursday. And on Saturday, and threw a 1-hitter, almost a no-hitter in a shortened game. So the 5 innings of work for Mac, the junior transfer from Arizona State out of Creighton, Missouri, and they are looking for the Pickerings. Has anybody seen the Pickerings? There they are. Riley Boone to step in first to face Morgan with 1 out. Popped up to third base, her first at-bat. 3 for 13 this Women's College World Series. Ground ball Base hit up the middle. Boone thinking about second, and will head back to first. And that is the 4th hit of the inning.
How about you go from the rise ball to the drop ball? We saw the rise ball, all of the rise balls that were hit for home runs up in the zone, and now you get a drop ball. Riley Boone just attacks, drives up the middle.
Yeah, Morgan throws about 90% drops.
Yeah, 91.
Slow row to short. Martinez to Washington over to first. Double play. Defense behind Morgan solid, but more runs on the board. A crooked number for OU.
Kinsey Hansen, one of the many seniors in this lineup. A 2-run shot to put up 2 more. And the Frosty right behind her. Getting up at your face. Hit it out.
61-1. They have records for consecutive wins at 71. Consecutive NCAA tournament wins at 20. Now in their 4th championship series, looking for that 4th title. 4 field players and 1 pitcher, Nicole May, have been a part of all 4 runs at the title.
Well, they just are so good, even with their backs up against the wall. What are we at? 8-0 in elimination games. One of those national championships, they lost their first game. JMU and Odyssey Alexander, and had to come all the way back through the losers bracket.
Last few years, of course, good. There goes Nicole May out to the bullpen with Kirsten Deal. Of course, Jocelyn Allo and G. Juarez and Jordy Ball and others involved in this historic run. And now can Texas answer? 3 runs up on the board for OU in the top half. And the top seed will send up 9, 1, and 2. Here's Ashton Maloney. Sophomore out of Liberty, Missouri, who did not get a chance to play in 2022. She was redshirting with a knee injury, so she was telling us today what a dream it is to finally get a chance to get out there on the dirt. Roam the grass out in right field. Pitch.
She talked about how hard it was to be in the dugout, but be injured and not be able to help her team play against Oklahoma in the championship series in this setting. And she promised herself, we need to get back. I need to be a part of this team 2 years later. Here she is.
Hodge scoops and gets her. 1 down. Now for Mike White and Texas. This now is 6th season with the Longhorns. 3 comeback wins when trailing by 4+ runs. He also had tremendous success at Oregon. This is the 3rd time for Mike, bringing the #1 seed to the World Series. 2 years ago, they were unseeded in the finals, and what a turnaround in 2 years now to the top spot. But they're going to have to do what they haven't been able to do in their previous 6 trips, and that is score runs. They've always had really good pitching at Texas. This is their best hitting team by far that they've brought here to the World Series. Now can they get to the OU pitchers?
Well, they've had that batting average. They've been hitting it for average at 375. 92 home runs on the year, now 93 with Mia Scott's. But its ability to plate a lot of runs against an Oklahoma team who has a pitching staff that can be stingy at times, but that defense as well.
And here is the tone setter, Bella Dayton. Told us today her plan was to hunt up in the zone.
It's the plan for this lineup to stay off of Kelly Maxwell's off-speed pitches. So her curve and her drop, they don't want any part of.
Well, and this is where it's hard on Texas, too, because they have 5 lefties in a row. And that just bodes very well for Maxwell.
Scott and Martinez, the other lefties still to come.
Scott loves lefties, though. She already showed with that home run. It's better against him.
Bella's been a 300 hitter here at the World Series. Fouls another one off. Her walk-up song is Mambo Italiano because she has a chance to play for the Italian national team through her grandmother, I believe. But her teammates also talk about her Mamba mentality. And that is certainly the way she conducts herself. That steely glare out at the pitcher when she steps into the batter's box.
Well, this is a gritty team, and even Oklahoma mentioned it about Texas, is that they know they're going to fight to the last strike. They know that no lead is ever enough.
I think when you beat the best pitcher in the country twice here in Stanford's Nigeri Kennedy, it gives you confidence as an offense. Like, all right, we can beat anybody. We can figure out a way to get runs, whether it's the long ball or a squeeze play. They can do it all.
And I think a lot of times then the question becomes, when you're playing Oklahoma, is how do you limit them? Right? You've got pitching, defense.
Well, they put up a 10 spot and one-ruled a Florida team that beat Oklahoma here a couple days ago before the Sooners bounced back to knock them out in the semis.
To me, the question is figuring out Kelly Maxwell.
He's the 9th pitch of this at-bat.
Ball.
That's a great at-bat.
Terrific from Dayton, a one-out base runner for Mia Scott.
Helps to have someone on first base for the big bat. Scott, back in the first inning, took a off-speed pitch, drove it out. The lone run for Texas. A lot of hot hitters in this lineup, but Mia Scott, they've said, we go as she goes.
She hit a 3-run home run off of Oklahoma in that 2022 World Series championship.
That was a big swing she just took.
Another swing and miss.
On both those pitches by Maxwell, threading the needle off the plate, inside, diving down, but still gets the swing and miss on him. And to me, that's the difference in the game right now, is that Oklahoma's been very picky offensively, has not swung outside the zone. Texas has.
Ball.
Below the knees.
And
1 and 2.
That's the reason you go right back there, because you just got her to wave through 2 of the same pitch.
She's already had 4 0-2 counts, getting ahead of hitters, and now it's 2 and 2.
And that's the pitch that Scott hit out, but Maxwell makes it dive down, throws it a little more out, a little more down.
Full count.
And that was a shake. She shook off Hansen, came back. That looked like a curve on the outer half, elevated.
It appears early on here, Michelle, that it is a tight strike zone.
Absolutely. And that's going to bode better for Kelly Maxwell because she has so much spin and movement through the zone. She gets in trouble when she runs that inside pitch and it leaks or bleeds back into the middle part of the plate. But when she can start her pitches mid-zone and let them run out, that's typically when she induces most of her swing and miss.
Dustin Douglas behind the plate. Cameron Ellison, Robbie Guest, Megan Rabin on the bases tonight. Full count. Back-to-back walks. And the heart of the order coming around. The last team to overcome a 4+ run deficit was Texas. They trailed Oklahoma State in the national semifinals 5-0, and then rallied to beat Kelly Maxwell and the Pokes to advance into the championship series. And Kelly, after a successful career in Stillwater, wanted a change of scenery, found a home here in Oklahoma. As you can imagine, as a result of that, going to your rival has been through an awful lot on and off the field. And when we asked her today, she said, this moment makes it all worth it. We earned the right to be back here. She wanted the ball today to throw for the second day in a row. First time she started back-to-back this year in the same 24 hours. And her coach agreed. Patty Gasso said, hey, we got to win game one. We got to go with Kelly. 4-4 in her career. One to Vivi Martinez. She's been one of the best hitters out of anybody this postseason. Hasn't been quite as hot here the last few games. But she's got a couple on base. Back-to-back walks to Dayton and Scott at the top of the order.
And working around those walks is going to be important for Kelly. Last time she beat Texas was here in the Big 12 championship just a couple weeks ago. Gave up just one earned run in that game.
Another swing and miss for Maxwell. 2 down.
And this is another pitch that's out of the zone that she gets a chase on. So Martinez is going to take this pitch. You can see the way it's just diving down. It's on the inner half of the plate. There's a lot of late sharp movement on that. And this is where that lefty-lefty matchup is just so important for Kelly Maxwell, the way she blends those pitches. A lot of vertical drop on that ball.
And now a huge moment here for Texas, and Oklahoma agrees because they want to talk about how to handle Reese Atwood, one of the finalists for National Player of the Year honors. What you got for us, Holly?
Well, you talked about Kelly Maxwell, those 148 pitches yesterday. We talked to her and she said, yeah, my pecs, shoulder and forearm have been a little bit sore, but she got a massage, kept her feet up, a lot of fluids, and then got to bed about 10:30 last night and had really good sleep. We did ask her, how does she reset after walks? She has just walked the last 2 batters after that, before that strikeout. She said, I have to let it go and reset my mind, just get the next hitter out. And that's what she just did.
And now a big challenge right here with Reese Atwood coming up. With those 23 home runs and 90 runs batted in.
Yep. This is kind of the moment right here, and that's the reason why Jen Rocha is calling timeout, going and talking to her pitcher, because this is the big bopper, one of the best hitters in college softball, and it's because of the long ball.
Two outs with 2 on for Reese Atwood. In the back door for Kelly Maxwell, 0-1. Atwood walked her first time out. Right back to Maxwell, and that will end the threat. Big out for OU. 5-1 Sooners, top of the order, coming back around.
We are just taking a moment here in the stadium as they recognize cancer survivors who are in attendance, seeing them all out on the field, and all of the teams and coaches are holding up signs with names of people that they are fighting for as we try to strike out cancer tonight. Just a beautiful moment in celebration. So many people who have been touched. I just saw Coach Mike White turn to the crowd and put his sign up to the stand so his people can see who he is fighting for.
Thank you for exhibiting true strength.
Coach White, as we step in and ask you a couple of questions here, you just showed your sign to the stands. Who are you fighting for tonight?
My family, and it's my mom. She died of brain cancer when I was about 22 years old, and then my brother-in-law, Jim Black, married to my sister, died of throat cancer. So cancer touches everybody, and it's a tough disease, and hopefully we can find a cure one day.
Thank you, Coach. That's so beautiful. You're pitching, you go to Mac Morgan, and she induces ground balls, and I loved how your defense had her back. That double play, how did that kind of set up the tone and get the spirits back up? Yeah,
I mean, it's tough right now. We're down against a really good club, and Maxwell's tough. It's super tough, and we've got to find a way to claw back into it. And I was just hoping to get one run last inning, but it didn't work out, and we just got to keep fighting. That's what we've done all year.
Your team knows Kelly Maxwell so well. They faced her a lot of times. How do you figure her out right now?
Well, she has several different speeds, so it's tough. But first of all, we got to get strikes, and that's what we're not doing right now. We got to get balls in the zone we can handle.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Holly. We go to bat for you as well, Holly Rowe, on this strikeout cancer night. And the numbers for Mike White. Third time he's been here as a #1 seed. He got here 5 years with Oregon, as their head coach. And now the second trip in 2 years to the championship series with Texas. And that's the question mark. 3-0 is the record thus far this year. And they trail here in game 1 of the finals 5-1. It's best 2 out of 3. With our Holly Rowe down on the field, Beth Mullins, our Olympic gold medalist, Jessica Mendoza, and Michelle Smith up here in the booth. We are headed to the top of the 4th.
Well, Mike White talked about how much he's changed and evolved as a coach because of those past experiences and how quickly they left here early with those teams. And he said, I was so hard on those players, and I coached them how I was coached. I was yelling and getting all over them, and now I've learned I got to be more supportive. I know they're not trying to strike out. They don't want to make mistakes. So be more of a listening, supporting coach instead of getting really hard on them.
Yeah, and the other thing he learned is that he has to be able to score runs. He needs to have an offense that can put runs up on the board. He's always had really good pitching staffs. He was a great pitcher himself, but it's been the defense at times that they have struggled with, and that offense being able to put multiple runs up on the board to support that pitching staff.
Now they gotta try and keep the bats quiet here in the top of the 4th so they can get back in there and start swinging again. Over 12,000 strong on hand here at Devon Park in Oklahoma City. And the Texas pitching, they did not allow a run, only 3 hits in their first 3 games, and a different story tonight against Oklahoma so far. 3 Sooners have gone yard. Tiare Jennings, Kinsey Hansen, and Cassidy Pickering. And Jennings is in the hole right now, 9, and then the top of the order. Here's Avery Hodge, walked in the 2nd. Two from Morgan. Mac is a winner. How about winning a Pac-12 championship when she was there at Arizona State, and now winning a Big 12 championship this year with Texas. Next year headed to the SEC. 3 for 3.
She does a great job of rolling a lot of ground balls. We talked about her drop. In fact, she's the only pitcher in D1 that throws the majority of pitches of just 1 pitch. I mean, you're hunting down.
Ball.
She got a big old smile on her face today when we were talking about her days growing up. Holly Rowe loves to ask how kids get involved, and it was her mom, Kelly, who was a rec ball coach. Got her into pitching.
Just love the fact that we've got now players that are moms that are coaching their daughters, and love the dads too, but it's pretty cool when you get softball players now setting the example, not just as players, but as coaches.
Wow.
Does not get the call at the knees.
Yeah.
Full count.
That's a strike.
I think Mac Morgan agrees with you.
Yeah, this is a strike.
Oh, goodness.
Holy cow.
I think what's hard, and you're going to have misses for sure, and we've seen a lot of misses, Smitty, already, you know, away to these lefties. He's not giving that outside corner. That is a strike a lot of the time, but when you beat him on a pitch that's middle, you can't bring that anymore. She's going to hit it out of the park.
Yeah, you can't bring that any more up. You can't bring that any more on the plate.
And that one is called strike 3. One down.
And that one is on the edge. And
Now batting center fielder number 24, Jada Coleman.
And Hodge didn't like that call. That is the first strikeout of a Sooner batter tonight. And here comes Jada Coleman now back to the top of the order. Coleman's has been hit by a pitch and walked. And for the Sooners, when they have a 4-run lead, which they do right now, my goodness. 199-0. Right back to Mac Morgan. Trying to make it 200-0 today. Anything and O tends to be pretty good.
Especially triple digits.
yeah, no doubt.
Well, I mean, they've only lost 15 times total in 4 years. Not many teams have had the pleasure of beating them. Now, Texas got them twice. The first team to beat these seniors 2 games in a row. Oklahoma State also was able to win a series against them this year. They took Bedlam. So it hasn't been the easiest of roads.
Well, they looked a little vulnerable this year. I think that was the intrigue coming into the World Series, is who was going to match up against them, who could send them into the losers bracket potentially.
Two and one to T.R.A. Jennings.
With Oklahoma, it's hard to limit them, but I think it's hard to suppress them 2 games in a row, and that's why this senior class, you just haven't seen them lose back-to-back over the course of their career, except for this year.
How about back of the first inning, Jess?
T.R. Jennings. She hits a lot of these. The long ball, got a pitch up in the zone, drove it out. She gets underneath the softball more than any other player. A lot of fly balls.
Called strike 3. And a couple of Ks on the register from Mac Morgan.
You told us today at noon that you had to throw everything you had with your team at this game, winning game 1, knowing that the winner 78% of the time wins the series. What have you seen so far?
Attacking early in the count, set a good tone. Kelly's doing a really good job against some great hitters, so they're following the game plan. Just got to work to get more runners in scoring position, but I like what we've been doing thus far.
Kelly threw 148 pitches yesterday. How long do you want to go with her? What was the hope, knowing that these batters can get hot for Texas?
This is a World Series, so you grit it out. You go as far as you can. She's either going to tell us or we're going to see something that needs attention. But right now, she's grooving.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. And Patty Gasso, who is #1 in active wins amongst coaches, #3 in career wins, behind Carol Hutchins and Mike Candrea. And of course, they opened the brand spanking new Loves Field, the home of Oklahoma softball this year, with crowds of over 4,000 plus down in Norman. "30 seasons, now seeking their 8th title, the very first coming in 2000 in their first trip here." As Katie Stewart steps in. Horns have work to do. 5, 6, and 7 coming up. Coleman, another high fly ball headed her way. 2 down.
Kelly Maxwell's been dealing, really getting the Longhorns to chase pitches out of the zone. Look at this curveball in the outer half. That's a ball. Here we go with the off-speed curve on the inner half. Same thing, these pitches out of the zone, but she does such a good job of manipulating her pitches. Really good spin speed as well as change in velocity of the pitches and just getting the Longhorns to chase pitches out of the zone.
Just the one hit allowed, and that was not a sweet swing from Washington. Was looking for something else.
That's what happens when you're behind. That's why it's so key in scoring first, because then you're allowed to be more patient. That's what you're seeing the Sooners do. But for Texas, they understand Sooners have a 4 spot on them. So you're seeing much more aggressive hitting early in the count.
Oh, 2. This was the score. Kelly Maxwell beat Texas in the Big 12 championship game on this field a few weeks ago. Washington, it's another swing and miss.
And at a pitch again out of the zone. This is where she just gets those chases. She gets those whiffs. And it's easy to get those whiffs when you have hitters swinging at pitches that aren't even near the zone. So it's change in velocity. It's just not identifying pitches. Just disappearing underneath the bat. Kelly Maxwell is just a master, a magician at making that ball disappear.
Ball.
Well, remember, the game plan for Texas was see the ball up for that very reason. I think Kelly Maxwell is much more of a magician at her pitches down in the zone versus when she's throwing the rise ball up in the zone. So Texas kind of going away from the game plan, second time through the order.
3 of her 4 strikeouts now. She started 0-2 and took control.
Oh, Kelly Maxwell reminds me of Longhorn great pitcher Kat Osterman. I mean, the best in the game.
How so?
Well, just because of the way that she's got that great spin speed, the ball movement through the zone. And at times it's hurt her when she's missed. You know, we always say miss in the direction of the pitch, but at times when she's doing that, she's throwing backdoor, throwing curveballs. You know, they tend to leak or bleed back into the zone and they end up getting hit.
There's Kat looking on in her burnt orange. 3 trips here with Texas, and there's her old coach, Connie Clark, the Hall of Famer. She's in the stands too, watching Texas today. She brought him here 5 times, 3 with Kat.
JC, her daughter, is cheering on. I see her yelling. I'm sure a future Longhorn.
Absolutely. And pitcher for sure.
I don't think there's any doubt. Hanson took that one off the mask. Telling us she wears her bruises as a badge of honor back there.
She goes off the knob of the bat and ricochets.
going to stay. She was last year's Johnny Bench Award winner, best catcher in the country. Two of the last 3 years she played so well here. She was on the All-World Series tournament team. Ball down. And Mitchell draws the walk. 2-out base runner for the Horns. Hey, the Women's College World Series Championship Finals continues tomorrow. It's game 2. And again, that one will be at 8 Eastern on ESPN. For more information, go to NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Got college baseball moving into the Super Regionals this weekend before they head off to Omaha. And here down to the last 2 teams, an all Big 12 final. It's the 4th time in the championship series era, the last 19 years, that 2 from the same conference have battled it out. Oklahoma beating Texas in the finals 2 years ago. Sooner faithful on their feet. The 0-2 to Caden Henry. Jammed her. Smitty already a 6th 0-2 count.
Yeah, she's been working from ahead, and a lot of that is because she's gotten Texas to swing at pitches in that shadow zone or in the river.
Hansen takes another shot.
She told us she had, what, 4 bruises?
4 bruises just from the last few days.
That might be number 5.
Oh. You know, she wears that blue tape to help the pitchers relax. She may need a few more pads around the knees and ankles and shoulders. Gets back down in the crouch. And blocks that in the dirt.
Just moves so well behind the dish. And she tells her pitching staff, you know, trust me, throw it in the dirt. Don't be afraid to bury it. I've got you. I'll block it. Very nimble.
Struck her out. Got her to swing at another one out of the zone. Number 5 for Kelly Maxwell. Oklahoma hitting them hard and hitting them far tonight. 3 home runs through the first 4 innings, and they've got the 5-1 lead. 19 of their 24 this week via the home run ball. And they are back to swinging their bats against a 3rd Texas pitcher. It's Estelle Check, the senior from Downers Grove, Illinois. Her first appearance in their 4 games here.
She's got a lot of late chart movement as well. Being a lefty, she picked up a win against Oklahoma in game 3. She had some success against them. Did not give up an earned run.
It's her 3rd appearance of the postseason.
And a good matchup against Parker. I've seen Parker hit everything here at the World Series, but lefties have been one of the weak spots. Just 237 compared to 465 against righties.
All she's done is reach base 50% of the time in her freshman year. Parker grounds to Washington. One down.
Now batting third base, number 33, Alyssa Brito.
Alyssa Brito. First pitch swinging, infield pop-up. And Martinez is there, 2 down.
The Sooners hit a lot of long balls. That's how they've gotten to this point. Tiari Jennings back in the first inning, a 2-run shot, followed by another senior in Kinsey Hansen, a 2-run shot, and Pickering back-to-back. The freshman, 3 home runs, similar locations, all left center field. Lefties are hitting, righties are hitting.
And here are the 2 that went back-to-back. Hansen followed by Pickering. Morgan and now Check have quieted things down a bit. Retired 6 in a row.
Both of them when they were having that success, and right now, Check working from ahead.
Ball.
Oh.
Proud of these Texas pitchers too, because adversity a lot of times is strike zones that are not getting pitches called. They haven't let it frustrate them.
Hansen, a rope out to left center, and that'll reach the fence. The throw in, Hansen slides in safely with the double.
And just to your point, the pitch prior on the plate looked like a strike, doesn't get the call, so she tries to make the adjustment, brings it a little bit more back over the plate, and it just gets peppered. 77 miles an hour off of the bat. Mackenzie Hansen, one of the best at barreling up that ball, hits a laser.
And here's Pickering. Grounded out in the first, and a solo shot in the third. Two-out opportunity to pad that lead. The 0-2 pitch from Estelle Check. Slow roll to second, and the scoop is overthrown, and a run will score as Hansen touches home. Washington missed Stewart at first base.
Pickering gets down the line pretty quick, but this is a play that needs to be made by Washington. The flip. And Katie Stewart over at first, not able to handle it because it floats up. Hansen with 2 outs, easily going to walk home. That's a tough play. The flip from the glove at times can be so inconsistent.
It's kind of the only option she had, though. If she tries to transfer, she's safe. I think because she was so close to first base, she just had no reaction time for Stewart.
Yeah, you're right. If you're going to transfer that, you have to be bending down, and that's a tough position to be in with both hands down.
Well, this was the issue 2 years ago in the Champ Series. 6 errors led to 7 unearned runs in the 2 games. And that was an E4 on Washington. It's 6-1 Oklahoma, and Pickering out at second base. One-two to Riley Boone. Riley telling us today she's excited to write the final chapter for this senior class. Says she was feeling like the 6-year-old girl dreaming about playing here, growing up in Tulsa. Whacks that out to right, that's shallow, and going back to make the play is Washington. Side retired, but another run up. 6-1 Sooners. The greatest show on dirt continues tomorrow, maybe even into Friday. for our championship series. Best 2 out of 3. Game 2 tomorrow, 8 Eastern on ESPN. And if necessary, 8 Eastern Friday night on ESPN. To the bottom of the 5th, Ashton Maloney. And the ground out to Avery Hodge at second. 1 down. Beth Mowens, Jessica Mendoza, Michelle Smith, and Holly Rowe with you here at Devon Park in Oklahoma City as the Sooners on a mission to win a 4th straight national championship. Texas fighting for its first in school history. Top of the order in Bella Dayton. The Longhorns took the regular season series, and then Oklahoma won the Big 12 tournament final.
Look at what Maxwell's been doing. That whiff rate is 75% on pitches down in the zone of her strikeouts. 3 of them been on the drop, lower part of the zone. She can throw that as an off speed as well on the lower half. Completely different than what she was doing last year when she was at Oklahoma State. More up in the zone, has recreated herself to really be able to attack the lower half.
The senior from Friendswood, Texas. An All-American, the Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. They're now trying to win a national championship. 2 down. Has given up just the 1 hit. The Mia Scott home run in the 1st inning. And nothing since.
Now batting for Texas, third baseman, number 10, Mia Scott.
It'll be interesting now. 3rd time through the order for Texas, and the numbers just go through the roof because they usually make those adjustments against the same pitcher.
Down.
Of course, for Mia Scott, I think she'd like to just get back to what she did in that first at bat. And that was that off speed, that dropping curveball that she kind of changes speeds with, that Mia hit.
Well, part of the uniqueness for Kelly Maxwell is the way that she really wraps her pitching arm around her hips. And a lot of lefties have a tendency to do this, but that's why she gets that vertical and horizontal break. So she's going to get that run of the curve as well as the drop over the top spin. And when it's moving on 2 different planes, it just increases the complexity of trying to barrel it up.
Jennings with the range at short. 1, 2, 3 inning for OU as we head to the 6th.
Texas in the 5th, no runs, no hits.
And Estelle Check in the circle as Oklahoma comes up. Sid Sanders is due up, and then look who is on deck with a bat for the Sooners. She was hurt in the 1st game of this World Series, and now it looks like Alina Torres, their starting 2nd baseman, will get a chance to return and hit.
Makes sense too, righty-lefty. Avery Hodge a lefty, so playing the matchup as well.
8, 9, and 1. Sanders flew out to left and then grounded into the 6-4-3 double play in the 3rd. Hard hit, well defended by Scott. 1 down. So let's go back to the play. The injury to Alina Torres against. Lost it in the sun and actually took a knock on the head on the fly ball against UCLA. And now able to return after getting cleared by the doctors. And the standing O from the Sooner Nation.
For Oklahoma, number 40, Alina Torres.
So Alina steps in, senior out of Glendale, Arizona. 250 so far in the World Series, a shortened version for her, just a couple of games. Started out her career at Arizona State for 3 seasons, and now in her 2nd year at OU. 331 hitter on the season. Comes up and in, and she gets hit by the pitch. One out base runner and back to the top of the order.
See the frustration, not just getting hit, but I mean the anticipation to return, to be able to play. I mean, she has been so anxious to get back on the field. She wanted to hit, and that's why you see her throw the bat.
And they're going to bring Hodge back in, the starting second baseman, to run for Torres.
Re-entering back into the lineup.
So the return tonight for Lena Torres, and she gets the Sooners a base runner.
Now batting center fielder number 24, Jada Coleman.
And it's back to Jada Coleman. She's been on base a couple of times. She has reached in all but 3 of their games this year.
She's so diverse. You see that big swing there. So much capability of slugging, but then she'll read a defense, lay down a drag, she'll go to the slap.
Riley Boone is the coordinator of chaos, but Coleman, well, she's the party starter. I mean, she fires everybody up. There's a lot of energy in that young lady. Offensively, defensively, right, with some of her catches. Jess?
Out in center field. She's got a great eye. The plate, more walks than anyone else. Got to be careful in that zone. That's the pitch that she hit out for the walk-off home run to get them into this game against Florida yesterday in the elimination semifinal, up and away.
Yeah, she said, she's like, that's my cookie zone. That's the pitch that I love, up and out.
1-2. Check went back that way, a little outside. Out of the Colony in Texas. Former high school player of the year, and now all the success at Oklahoma. And that came in. Did that hit her the bat? They will make Jada stay. Tried to sell it.
And then she remembered there's review.
No! And that gets away from Atwood. Hodge over to second. Wild pitch, and that is the 3rd of the ball game. The swing and miss. Check takes care of Coleman, but then Atwood lazily flipped it back to the pitcher. Then it was only the 2nd out, and Hodge goes to 3rd.
Yeah, just things spinning out of control a little bit. Picks up the nice strikeout on the rise ball, up and in, but then Atwood is just going to toss it, thinking that that was an inning-ending strikeout. It is not. Heads up by Hodge to scooch on over to 3rd.
And that will get Tiare Jennings to the plate.
Now batting shortstop, number 23.
Homered in the 1st. Tiare has now hit a home run in 1 of every 9 plate appearances in her career.
I mean, that's pretty incredible. Get 3 at-bats a game-ish. Every 3rd game.
Yep. And she's driven in a run 1 in every 2 plate appearances. She's got over 900 of them in her career.
1 in every 2 play. That just shows how many Sooners are on base when she comes up.
Yes. And that strikeout looking the last time she was up, only the 4th time that's happened in 4 years.
That's amazing. And that's just understanding the strike zone.
Got a chance to do some more damage. Base knock, and there's another RBI for Tiare Jennings. And now the Oklahoma Sooners have a chance to flirt with that run rule. A 7-1 lead with a runner on base and Parker coming up here in the top of the 6th.
Look at Tiare Jennings' hands and how they get back to that rise ball that's up and in. I mean, she comes low to high. You know how difficult that is to have your hands down at your hips, come back up and hit a rise ball? Only Tiare Jennings.
Well, she talked about that with us today, Jess, about how she's confident enough to know that even though she drops her hands, she can make the adjustment to bring her hands back up. 99.9% of hitters cannot do that. Cannot do that.
Fifth most in history, one away from moving up to 4th as Parker grounds out. Side is retired, but another run in. 7-1 Sooners here in game 1. All smiles so far in this gorgeous Oklahoma City night at Devon Park. 7-1. Sooners leading Texas as we head to the bottom of the 6th in game 1 of our best of 3 championship series. Tiare Jennings, Kinsey Hansen, Cassidy Pickering, all home runs tonight. And Kelly Maxwell with just the 1 hit allowed. A Mia Scott home run in the 1st. The only base runners since 4 walks for Texas.
She's been dealing. She's been working around some of those walks.
And this is the part of the order. Feels like the game for Texas right here. I know they have 6 outs to play with, but Vivi Martinez and the 3-hole Reese Atwood right behind her.
Maxwell's coming off a 1-2-3-7 pitch inning. The pitch count staying low so far. I'm curious to see, guys, do you get through Martinez and Atwood and possibly go to another pitcher? You still have Maxwell fresh for tomorrow.
We were talking about that earlier. Pitch count in the low 80s. So she gets through this inning efficiently. I mean, obviously Texas has not figured her out tonight. They have been chasing everything. Pitches low in the dirt, a couple of rise balls. They just don't look like they're hunting one thing. And that's where it is with Kelly, hard with Kelly, because she does have so many tools.
And what's impressive is she is doing it against the team with the best batting average in the country and the 3rd highest OPS in the country. Not so far tonight. And all that Kelly Maxwell has been through with the transfer, with a lot of folks not appreciating the move from being a Cowgirl to a Sooner. Living up to the expectations here at Oklahoma. They have had incredible success in the transfer portal and with their pitching stars over the years. That you're supposed to come in here and get a ring.
No, dominate. Not give up home runs. Not lose games.
Patty Gasso so impressed with how they have handled themselves and continued their pursuit of excellence. Martinez, and that's a hot shot that gets by Sanders. And some life here for Texas. Vivi paused at second and will dive headfirst into 3rd. Well struck from Martinez, and Texas trying to get something going.
Well, the point is that she got a pitch that she could hit, and that's been the difference. The pitches that she took to get to this full count, to finally get something that she could hit hard. Off of Sanders, and as soon as it kicks over, you knew immediately Martinez was going to get the third.
Now they are going to score that a triple for Martinez to set up Reese Atwood. Walked in the first, and then grounded right back to Maxwell with 2 on base to end the 3rd inning.
Patience. Reese has got to be patient right now. They're going to get her to chase. You've got bases open. There is no reason she should get a pitch to hit, and she should know that.
Atwood pops it up. And a pitch that looked like it was over the heart of the plate.
Yeah, that's a ball that needs to be barreled up, because at this point, Oklahoma just needs to keep Texas off the bases.
Now batting for Texas first baseman, number 20, Katie Stewart.
2 down for Katie Stewart. Grounded to short, flew out to center. And Texas with just 4 outs now to work with. Maxwell coming hard inside for the strike.
Yeah, and this is where Maxwell, with that 6-run lead, you're burying strikes. You're going for outs at this point. Just issued those 4 walks, but this is about throwing the ball on the edges, inducing the pop-ups, rolling the ground balls, and just picking up outs wherever.
So did the official scorer just change that Martinez triple to an error? So that's an E3. 7th time tonight. She's got an 0-2 count. Buries that one in the dirt. Stewart is one of the Longhorns that has a chance to change things with one swing. Freshman out of Frankfort, Illinois, 13 home runs on the season. Terrific bat speed.
Make it Kinsey Hansen work. Back to back, and it's not just, she's got to block it, meaning she's using her body, not her glove. She wants to make sure that everything stays in front of her. Putting on a clinic.
That's a little flare out to right. That'll fall in front of Riley Boone, and a run will score for Texas as Martinez comes home 7-2. RBI single for the freshman.
And this is the difference between a swing and miss versus being able to put the ball in play. Katie Stewart does an excellent job. It's a good 2-strike pitch up in the zone, and she just finds grass, putting it in play versus the misses she was having earlier.
That is her 5th World Series RBI. And a runner on first with 1 out for the captain, Alyssa Washington.
was interesting, too, watching Riley Boone approach that ball. It was coming down. I was curious whether or not she was going to dive for it. We talked with her earlier today about the fact that she shifts from left field to right field, mostly playing right field when Maxwell is in the circle because of the way the ball comes off the bat.
Maxwell gloves it, throws to second to get the lead runner. And they get Stewart for the second out. And that'll bring up Jolie Mitchell.
That's an excellent play. Great play. Kelly Maxwell in traffic with her own teammates, throw across her body. Wow.
And the fact that Hodge was at second base. Everybody going where they're supposed to be. And that's the one part of this Oklahoma team we don't always talk a lot about, is how good their defense is year in and year out. And Patty Gasso says it. She was like, you know what? I wasn't the best hitter, so I had to be great at defense when I was a player. And she says, that's what I love. Defense wins championships.
Wild pitch. Over to second base for Washington. Hanson will come out to talk with Kelly.
Hanson told us this morning how she recognizes times and moments when Kelly Maxwell maybe needs a break, her face gets a little red. There might be a pitch that just she lets go. Perfect example of some leadership. Just calming her down, slowing down the moment.
There's Nicole May next to Patty Gasso. We saw both her and Kirsten Deal out in the bullpen warming up a few innings ago, but nobody out there right now. Leaving open the possibility that there might be a different Sooner pitcher for game 2 tomorrow. Outside corner for a strike. Continues to work ahead. Over 100 pitches now on the evening. Mitchell, base hit the other way. Boone throws to the plate, not in time. Washington slides in safely, and it's 7-3.
Man, what a difference an inning makes. Look at this pitch. This is off the plate. Jolie Mitchell, like 60%. Literally, just get to the ball. She does it. Pokes it out into right field. A beautiful job. 2 strikes, 2 outs to get another run in for Texas.
Started with the error to begin the inning, and now Martinez and Washington have come in to score. RBIs for Katie Stewart and Jolie Mitchell, and they chip away. That is Carly Keeney.
They're all ready.
Yeah, I think for both.
Anybody's guess, yeah.
Everybody knows.
Well, Caden Henry is coming up. Maxwell has struck her out twice.
Well, this is where these 5 lefties in a row start for Texas.
Henry, both those strikeouts coming on that off-speed pitch. Low and away.
The top seed stirring here in the bottom of the 6th. Checked foul. Freshman out of Dickinson, Texas. 9 home runs, 35 runs batted in on the season. Sanders tries to apply the tag, and Henry scooted by her. Safe safe at first.
It'll be interesting to see if they take a look at this to see if Kaden Henry tries to avoid the tag from Sid Sanders.
They're looking at the dugout to see if there's going to be a challenge. Ooh. Or if she did tag her. Sid did not insinuate to the dugout that she did.
Oklahoma is challenging the safe call at first base. That play is now under review.
Let's bring in our rules analyst, Christy Cornwell.
Yeah, so what they're going to look at here is whether they have proof of a tag. And from the different angles that we see, it's hard to tell. So they have to have indisputable evidence that there was, in fact, a tag in order to overturn this play.
What about being outside the chalk there with her feet running down the base? Running down to first, Christy.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Looks like she's still right within the line. That right foot, I can't see the left foot because we got the umpire there. Oh, this is a good look. Yeah, she's right on the line. And there she's out of the line, but the tag has already been applied. So I don't think that'll be a factor here.
Thank you, Christy.
I don't think she gets her. Yeah. Unless she gets her on the elbow, she misses the back. And to be honest, the fact that Sanders did not come up saying, I got her.
That's the question.
Boy. Does the jersey move, or is that just the breeze?
Or does a shoelace, or the glove lace count?
The glove lace, right,
the glove lace gets her.
Glove lace on the jersey.
The call is safe, so they need video proof right there that the tag was applied. Coaches get 2 challenges. Umpires can look themselves late in games. This is huge here to continue to rally. There is the video review crew.
I think is there enough to overturn it? Because at this point, and you can tell by the way they're looking, just the way we're looking, it's hard to tell.
Well, and I think also the way that Sid Sanders, as we mentioned earlier, the way she played it, it seemed like she felt like she knew she missed her.
She misses her on the back from that angle.
Right. The question is,
yeah. Yeah, see, you see space there.
Yeah.
I think that's a good look.
After further review, the call at first base has been upheld. The runner is safe. This is Oklahoma's first challenge.
So Texas will try and keep the rally going. 2 runs in here in the 6th. 2 aboard, and a pinch hitter coming up in the 9 spot in the lineup, Vic Hunter.
Pinch hitting for Texas.
395 on the season, with some pop in her bat. 0 for 1 here at the World Series for the freshman from Houston. And after a lengthy delay, ball 1 from Maxwell. These young Longhorns, so instrumental in their success the last couple of seasons. Terrific sophomore class, followed by another good freshman class. miss, 1-2.
Nice pitch on the outer half. So that off-speed curveball again, off-speed drop ball, just a lot of movement.
Hunter, who had a pinch hit grand slam earlier in the NCAA tournament. Down 1-2. Below the knees.
Some really good takes. I mean, we've seen hitters in this Texas lineup have 3 at-bats against that pitch and not be able to lay off.
Swing and a miss. Maxwell strikes her out. They leave a couple on base after getting a couple home. To the 7th inning here in Game 1 of the finals.
Telling Maxwell.
Thank you, Scott. Looking forward to the post game, but we've got a little more business to tend to. 7th inning here in Game 1, best of 3, and a 7-3 lead for the 2-seed Oklahoma over the 1-seed Texas. Alyssa Brito, it's 4, 5, and 6 to face the new pitcher. It's the 4th of the night for Texas, Citlali Gutierrez. Out of Stanford, Texas, her first appearance in this World Series. So Mike White giving most of his arms an opportunity to kind of get their feet wet here in the opener.
Oh, Gutierrez pitched the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma. All 7 innings, took the loss in that game. But she's very similar to Mac Morgan, rolls a lot of ground balls, very good drop ball. Mixes it up, change up right there. Off-speed drop.
One and one in this NCAA tournament. 11-2 on the season. They had 5 different arms that all specialized in a different pitch. It was incredible to watch through the regular season to see how Mike White could use this staff on different occasions, even, you know, from inning to inning at times. Not your typical team with an ace.
And to your point, that they all do specialize in a pitch. This is where you need to have 2 or 3 different pitches to be able to beat a team like Oklahoma. You've got to be able to throw the drop with the rise. And, you know, we see that a little bit more with Kelly Maxwell, who's a little bit older, has that experience, has blended her pitches together, rise ball, off-speed drop, curve ball.
And when she was their age, though, she didn't, you know.
Correct.
She was a 1 or 2 pitch pitcher. She had to get there.
It's the progression of being in that circle and learning that you simply can't stay the same. You've got to learn new pitches every summer. I mean, that's got to be your job in the off season. New nuances, whether or not it's a pause in your pre-motion, just something to give a different look.
3-2. There's a rocket. That'll find a gap all the way back to the wall in right center for Brito. And another extra base hit for the Sooners.
Alyssa Brito is one of the toughest hitters in this lineup. In fact, her own pitching staff says we don't want to throw her. Why? Because she can do this. A pitch on the outer half, slightly elevated drop ball that she just mashes the other way. That's a double in the gap. Her first hit of the game.
6 of their 9 hits now for extras. 3 home runs, 3 doubles. And Hansen, she's got 1 of each. Homered in the 3rd, doubled, and scored in the 5th. Gutierrez, the backhand over to first to record the out. Did not turn to look at the base runner heading to 3rd. One down. We're just going to re-enter Pickering here. Texas trying to keep any more runs off the board and then get back to work with the top of their order in the bottom of the 7th. Cassidy's been on twice with the home run and then reached on an error. The throw down to third, and nobody was there, and Brito waltzes in. And Reese Atwood has had a couple of missteps tonight.
Well, we talked to her at times, even struggling at the dish, trying to do too much. And this is a trying to do too much type of play. If you can see Mia Scott, the throw is directly behind. So Brito diving back in, but look at the location of this throw, also to where the defender is, to where Scott is.
Well, and Brito's safe. She's not even got a huge lead. It wasn't like if it was a perfect throw, they would have had her.
8-3 Oklahoma. So a double and then an infield hit, and the error gets Alyssa Brito home. 7 different Sooners have scored the 8 runs tonight. Eight of the 9 have reached base tonight.
This is typically what a Sooner scorecard looks like. Everybody's involved.
Yeah. Pickering lifts that one to the track and back to the wall, and the catch is made. Ashton Maloney with a rob job for Texas.
Her expression after she got this, mouth wide open. I don't know if she surprised herself or she just was yelling in excitement. A beautiful job, the route to get back to the wall. And you guys, this is the theme of this World Series, the rob jobs by the outfield. Beautiful job of timing this up, jumping up. Not just, oh, yes, her own reactions.
It's so great. When we talked to Bella Dayton and Ashton Maloney earlier today, they said that they love playing here, opportunity for the rob job, because their home park is a 10-foot wall that they just can't get up. And of course, Gutierrez giving Salama to her right fielder, pulling that back in.
Pinch hitter here is Riley Ludlam, senior out of Fort Myers. Possible she might stay in the game to catch. Ashton Maloney with the big catch out and right to take the home run away from Pickering. It would have been her second of the night.
Just can't get over her own expression. They're just like, did you see that?
It's in my glove.
I got it. We practice it all the time. So it just shows you how hard it is to get outs right now. Great play, but you're having to rob home runs just to get 2 outs.
Two and two. Sooners win tonight. 1 win away from a 4th consecutive national championship. Texas would have to beat Oklahoma twice, games 2 and 3. That has happened to the seniors in the regular season, never in the postseason. Have they dropped 2 straight?
Well, even when their backs have been up against the wall, they've just been so strong. This is a team that almost wills themselves to win.
Called strike 2-3. The strikeout of Ludlam, but another run up for the Sooners. Top of the order, the Longhorns' last chance here in game one. 19 to 24 runs scored via the home run ball here in the World Series. 8 of the 11 two-run home runs. So now back to work for Kelly Maxwell. OU's going to let her try and close the door as she faces the top of the Texas order, 4th time around. Dayton, Scott, and Martinez 1 for 7 so far tonight against Maxwell. Winner of game one goes on to win the championship 78% of the time in the 18 years prior of the championship series. Dayton struck out in the first, walked in the third, and grounded out in the 5th. The 3 runs on 4 hits. Chop to second. Hodge stays down on it, 1 down.
Avery Hodge has been outstanding since coming in, taking over for Elena Torres. She should be smiling. That's a 3rd great play by her. Look at the way she's going to come in her head. She pulls it a little bit, but she keeps that glove open. She feels it. John getting it over to Sid, and yeah, she deserves to have that smile and that nod.
Down to their last 2 outs. Here's Mia Scott, the home run hitter in the first. We're walking a ground out. A run in the first for Scott, and then 2 more for Texas in the 6th. They have had a couple of innings tonight where they have left 2 runners on base. And as she has done all night, Kelly Maxwell gets in front. Strikeout number 7.
Ability to throw on both sides of the plate. She'll attack you inside, and then she'll finish you outside. So she comes up and she gets underneath Mia Scott's hands early in the count, and then late in the count. Look at the movement on this pitch, the over-the-top rotation. That's a drop ball, but it also has a lot of run coming across her hips. 7th strikeout of the game for Maxwell.
The negative social commentary after the transfer from Oklahoma State to Oklahoma. The weight of expectation of being a Sooner ace. Maxwell told us today this was the moment that would make it all worthwhile to throw in the championship series. And to get her team 1 win away from a 4th consecutive championship. And now Texas down to its final out of the night. Game 1, Oklahoma. And Kelly Maxwell gets the W, 8-3, the final. Powered by 3 home runs from the Sooner bats. And the 4-peat may be 1 day away. Texas will need to rebound to win games 2 and 3.
Maxwell, just surgical, really just taking apart the strike zone.
Oklahoma State.
Rotation on that pitch, curveball in the inner half. Just freezes Martinez. 8 strikeouts on the night for Kelly Maxwell, just out.